Hello everybody, welcome back. Thank you for joining me for another video. All right, so today's video is all about resin and top coating. So if you have been a longtime viewer of mine, you know I've already done a resin video, I believe. Oh boy, I'm having a brain fog here. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I'll link it up here at the top. Why can't I remember it all of a sudden? I will link the video up here at the top. It's a couple of years old and I was doing small canvases. Now, a lot of you have always been asking me over time how I do big canvases. So here it is, guys. This here is a 24 by 36 inch canvas. I've done a 24 by 48 as well. That's been the biggest I've done so far, and I've never had any issues. So I'm gonna try and remember everything, and this might be a long video, but it's all important information that you need to know. And if I forget anything, or if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below and I will answer all your questions. So first off, this is the painting I did, and it's going to be entered into that art competition. Now it is fully dry. Now, do I wait 3 to 4 weeks for the paint to cure? No, never have, never will. I know there are some people out there, some artists out there who say you have to wait like a month for it to cure. It really depends on the artist, but it also depends on what your painting is made out of. If you use silicone oils in your paints or use different mediums or stuff like that, you may need to let it cure a little longer. But mine's just paint, water, and Floetrol. And I've been doing this almost 4 years now, and I've never had an issue. The second this thing is fully dry and I can do this, I'm gonna resin it. Okay, so, and I don't use varnish. Back in the day, I used to use varnish, and there's nothing wrong with varnish. Not everybody likes to use resin. Some people like to use a varnish. I prefer resin because it leaves a really nice glass-like hard surface on your canvas. And personally for me, I like that look better than varnish. So my painting is dry. And it is completely 100% level. I made sure you must make sure your canvas is 100% level. Like, I don't know if you can see that, but look at that, like perfection level. And not just here, it's level here and level back here and level, okay? It's level all the way. So I tape the back of my canvas before I paint. All right, so I've got push pins on these ones. I do not use my furniture levelers when I do resin because I do not want to get them all gunked up with resin. So I've left the tape on. You do not take the tape off, okay? The last thing you do when you are done a piece and finished with a piece is take the tape off. So until then, it is to stay on, okay? So I've taken out the furniture levelers. And I put in push pins because, as I said, I don't want resin all over my furniture levelers and getting them all stuck. All right, let me just get back into center here. All right, so you leave the tape on. All right. Okay, just let me make sure it's level. It should be. Yep, we're good. It's fine. Okay, perfect. Now, things you're gonna need when doing resin. First of all, you need some resin. My choice of resin is Krystal Resin, okay? It's a Toronto-based company. Now, I've had a few comments in my last few videos. People are saying, oh yeah, show us KS Resin, KS Resin. You have to remember, KS Resin is an American company and it's completely different from Krystal Resin, okay? This is Krystal Resin with a K, okay? And it's not the same thing as KS Resin, so please do not mix the two up. I only use Krystal Resin. When I first started out, I used to use Art Resin, And then I was introduced to Krystal Resin, and I will never use another resin again. This resin for me works best. I find, oh, I got paint chips on my hands. It has a higher heat rating. It has a very low to no odor. The bubbles in this are very minimal compared to, now I'm comparing this to art resin because I've never used any other resin. And this is dried, it's cured by the next day. So within, I'd say 12 to 24 hours, I can literally pick this up and it'll be ready for me to peel the tape off. Now it won't be fully cured where, you know, fully cured, it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks. So if you're using the resin for coasters, you would have to wait 3 to 4 weeks for the resin to fully cure before you put resin or a cup on your resin, on your coaster, sorry. But for a painting, this will be dry by tomorrow morning. So let's see, it's 7 o'clock right now at night. And tomorrow morning, I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna peel the tape off, which will be a second part of this video. So I'll have to piece it all together and edit it for you guys because I do wanna show you guys how to take the tape off the back with all the resin drips. So it'll be ready for me to pick up carefully and peel the tape off by tomorrow. With art resin, it took like 2 to 3 days for me to be able to do that, or 2 days at least. So this is why I like Krystal Resin, and it's a Canadian company. I like to support local Canadian companies, and this is in Toronto, which is where I grew up all my life. So if you are interested in Krystal Resin, the website is in the description below. It's krystalresin.com, and you can save 5% off your order using code Kanella 5. Free shipping to all of Canada and to the US. Okay, so there's free shipping. And if you are in the US, this is in Canadian funds. So when you go to purchase this and you get the exchange rate, it actually ends up being cheaper for you Americans because our dollar is so much higher than the American dollar. All right, so resin, one thing you need. Next thing you're gonna need 100% are gloves, okay? You must use gloves. Do not get resin on your hands. It is so bad for your hands, okay? If you do happen to get resin on your hands or on your skin, this is what will take it off. You can use isopropyl alcohol. I get this from Costco. It's 99%. Another thing that'll take it off, baby wipes. This is a staple in my studio, not just for resin, but also taking acrylic paint off my hands when I get my hands dirty. So baby wipes are a must in the studio. So that also helps take it off. And before I continue, this is how I do resin. I know there are other artists who do it differently, who have different ideas, who apply it differently. You know, that's fine, but this is what works for me. Okay, so this is what I have been doing for years and it works for me. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So gloves, resin, alcohol, super duper important. You need a heat gun. Okay, can you use a hair dryer? No, a hair dryer will not work for resin. You need a heat gun. Can you use, oh, let me reach. Can you use a torch? Yes, you can to pop air bubbles, but I prefer the heat gun because it helps warm up the resin for you and makes it a lot easier to spread. And then if you want to use the torch to pop bubbles after, you can do so. The problem with a torch is you can easily burn your resin. If you are not careful and you hold the flame over the resin too long, you will burn the resin, okay? Now, can you burn the resin with the heat gun? Yeah, of course you can, but not as easily as you would with a torch. There was something else I wanted to say and I can't remember. Everything is just gonna pop into my head as I go along, okay? So a heat gun, super necessary. If you're not using Krystal Resin, please make sure you read the label properly. Every resin is different, so Mixing is different. All that is different.
Could you say that again?
No, Siri. Siri's listening to me. So make sure you read the label on the back of your resin bottle. Next thing I've got here are plastic cups. Okay, you can use those reusable silicone cups if you like. I actually just like to use these. I find it very easy. So what I do is I have these cups here, and do you see how they have the ridges on them? The ridges I use to measure equal amounts of part A and part B of the resin. And then from here, I will put it in here and then stir it in here, okay? A lot of this info is in my video, my previous resin video. So do watch that one because there's a lot of info in that one that I may miss in this video. So take the time to watch the other video. Another important thing that you need is a respirator. Now, do you need one? If you are in a well-ventilated area and your resin, like Krystal Resin here, is low odor, I don't wear it. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not gonna like pretend or whatever. You know, if you're in a well-ventilated area, you can open some windows, or you work in the garage or somewhere where there's, you know, air blowing through or whatever, you know, it's fine. But if you're in a small little room behind closed doors, you need a respirator, okay? This one is 3M and it is from Amazon, okay? I got that off Amazon. And then I have this one as well, which is a lot more comfortable than this 3M one. And this one here is called, here you go, Eclipse. And you can see it's from BearWoods Supply. Okay, so this is the company where I get my sculpted panels from. So I got this mask from them, and I find this to be a lot more comfortable. It's a lot smaller in size, you know, that covers your face. Can you see the difference? So this is a lot more comfortable than this one here from Amazon. And it's got the filter cartridges in it. And if you want to purchase one, you can get a discount. So I'll put all that information in the description below. All right. Another thing I always have on hand on the side are some silicone molds. I don't measure how much resin I need. However, there is a calculator. If you Google resin calculator, Art Resin has a calculator where you put in the dimensions of your canvas and it'll tell you exactly how many ounces of resin you need for that piece. Do I find it to be accurate? No, I don't, but that's just me. So I never measure my resin. I fill my cups. If I need more, I will make another batch. If I have extra, I have silicone molds set aside where I will use my excess resin and make something with it, like coasters or this ring holder pyramid type thing. So this one is from Krystal Resin, but these silicone molds, these round silicone molds, are from Lolivefe. And I have these dried fruit pieces, as you can see here. So if I end up having extra resin, I'm going to make some coasters. That is what I'm going to do. So I have them here on the side. For any excess resin, I'm going to use them in my silicone molds. Trying to think. I also have a Dyson air purifier. I will try and remember to show you that when I take my camera off the tripod here. I do have a Dyson air purifier. I do have it on when I resin. Cleans the air, filters the air. It's not a cheap air purifier. You can get any kind of air purifier. I just prefer Dyson. It was about $700 or $800, but it's amazing. So you get what you pay for, right? So you can also get an air purifier if you are in a small space. Popsicle stick for stirring my resin, or you can use the reusable plastic sticks. I think that's it for in terms of materials needed. So I'm going to get started by putting my gloves on because I don't want to get my hands sticky with resin. And I always start off with a pair of gloves, but when it comes to spreading it, I always use my hands. I don't use a spatula. I don't use a credit card, you know, like it's a hard plastic. I use my hands because I can feel exactly where the resin is going when I use my hands. But what I do is I double up on my glove because sometimes the glove might rip, might get a little hole or a little tear. I like to double up on my glove, my spreading hand glove. All right, so I'm also going to cover my watch. I leave it on because I need to see the time and do a timer. So I make sure I cover my watch. You do not want to get your jewelry or anything like that covered in resin. Trust me. All right, so I'm going to mix my resin. It's 1 part resin to 1 part hardener, okay? And I am going to fill up my cups, okay? And then I'm going to pour it into the bigger cup, all right? And I have to stir it for 3 to 5 minutes. So I'm gonna do that really quickly. You don't need to see me do it. If you really wanna see me do it, go and check out my old resin video because I'm pretty sure I do it in that video. So I'm going to speed you up while I do this process. Be right back. All right, so can you see here? I've got equal parts, okay? They're exactly equal parts. I do not weigh my resin. I know some people do that. I don't know how or that works, but I would never weigh it. I always measure equal parts, which is why these cups here with the ridges are perfect, because you just fill it up to a certain line on both cups and you're ready to go. I'm gonna continue mixing. Be right back. All right, so I've got my part A, my resin and my hardener in here. Now, I put the hardener in first, okay? Because you can see here, see how fluid and more liquidy it is? And then the resin is a lot thicker and like molasses type. So I always put the hardener in the cup first to coat the cup. And then I put in the resin in on top. So now this has to be stirred. Let's see, 727. I stir it for about 3 to 4 minutes, okay? Now, before I forget, a lot of people are wondering, do you put something underneath to support your canvas? I do not. I know some people do. There's something in here. Hold on. Hold on, there's a black speck in here. I gotta get it out. Get out, there we go. So a lot of people will put cardboard underneath to make sure underneath is hard. I do not do that. I have never done that. I use level 3 gallery wrapped canvases from Michaels. So they are pretty sturdy, very strong. And I find that I have tried once, and when you put cardboard and stuff underneath, it actually creates a ridge or like a little bump on your canvas where the cardboard is. And I don't like that. And I find that I just don't need it. I did a 24 by 48 inch canvas and I did not support the back of it at all. And I had 0 issues. Now, if you're gonna pour like a gallon of resin on your canvas and it's super duper heavy, then yeah, it'll probably all pool here in the center and just because it's so heavy, right? But I don't put that much on top and I spread it evenly and properly so I don't have that issue. All right, so as I'm stirring here, I am stirring, I'm not whipping it, but I'm also not like a sloth either, okay? It's just a regular stir. And while you're stirring, you must scrape the sides as you go along, okay? Scrape the sides, get the stick at the bottom, make sure you're scraping the bottom, and then you also must scrape your stick, okay? Scrape the stick, clear it, clean it off, okay? Do that, clean it off, and then keep stirring, okay? It is super important that you scrape the sides of your cup and the bottom of your cup very, very well, and then scrape your popsicle stick or whatever stick it is you're using really well once or twice as well, because you want to make sure there's no like resin here that's not mixing properly with the hardener. So you have to mix this extremely well. Now, resin, at least Krystal Resin, states that the room should be at a temperature of about 75 degrees. Now, I have done resin and applied resin when the room has been 65. It makes it a lot harder to work with, which is why the heat gun comes into play and useful, because it'll warm up the resin for me when I pour it on. But typically it should be room temperature at about 70 to 75 degrees. But I've done resin in much colder. My old studio at the old house, sometimes it'd be like 66 in there. I do have an oil heater that really warms up this space when I turn it on. I actually have it on right now, and it is 72 degrees in here. And it's actually quite warm for me because this is a lot of work. But yeah, so keep that in mind. Resin has to be at room temperature. You can also put some resin and hardener in your cups and give it a warm bath, like put it in your sink. Make sure you don't get water in it though. I've never done that. I don't do it. I don't find I need to do it, but some people do that. They'll fill up, like, say, their bathroom sink or their kitchen sink with like warm water and put the cup in it just to warm up the resin. Okay, you can do that as well. Just remember, the more you heat it up, the less work time you have. Okay, so with this resin here, I get about 30 to 40 minutes of work time. Okay, it doesn't take me that long to do this at all, but for some people who are new, it might take them that long. But you have about 30 to 40 minutes before it starts to get tacky and sticky on you. Okay, now, is this cup going to be enough? No, I'm definitely going to have to do a second cup. So I will show you how I do that with these larger pieces. Let's see, what time is it? 7:32. See what happens when you talk? You talk and talk and talk, and you don't realize time's flying. All right, so this is ready to go. All right. And as I mentioned, I hope I'm not forgetting anything, but like I said, always ask in the comments below, and I am more than happy to answer your questions. All right, so I've mixed my resin. I am scraping my stick really well. Now what I do is I do a bead of resin across all four sides, okay? And so I shall pour a thick bead of resin across. Now you see I'm already running out. I shall scrape my cup, and any last remnants in this cup I will get out. Okay. Now, if I was doing a 16 by 20 or an 18 by 24, this cup would have been more than enough. Okay. I would do the outer edges, and believe it or not, it'd be good to go. But because this piece is bigger and I stopped right here, this is bare and all in here is bare. So I need a little more. Am I going to fill this to the top again? Absolutely not. I'll probably do half. So I'm going to leave this as is, because it'll only take me 5 minutes to mix another batch. You could mix a bigger batch if you have a bigger cup. I prefer not to, because when you mix a bigger cup, it's hard to stir it and make sure you get it mixed really, really well. I would rather mix 2 separate batches in a smaller cup where it's easier to stir, because let's face it, your hand does get tired. I'm telling you, your hand gets tired stirring this for 3 to 4 minutes. So I prefer mixing a smaller batch like this rather than a big batch and I'm like doing this like really hard, okay? I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna do another batch. I'll be right back. All right, got my second cup here. Checking the time, 7:37. All right, 3 to 4 minutes, let's go. So while I do this, if you have pets, okay, try and resin in a place where your pets do not go. You all know I have 2 Siberian Huskies and there's dog hair everywhere, but they are not allowed in the basement. They weren't allowed in the basement at my old home. They're not allowed in the basement here in the new home. Yes, do I have dog hair on my clothes? All the time. So before I resin, I go and change my clothes. I make sure I put clean clothes on that does not have dog hair on it. So if you have dogs or cats or anything like that, make sure your clothes are clean and don't have any animal hair on them. Okay, if you cannot resin or paint in a place where your animals do not go, just try and clean up the space a little before you get started. Now, do I cover my pieces when I'm done with resin while it's curing? I do not. There are food tents. They're called food tents. You can find them on Amazon. They are listed in my Amazon shop. For smaller pieces, you can put the food tent over the canvas and, protect it that way. I don't use them. I don't find a need for them. I only resin at night. At night, late at night, when everyone has calmed down, the kids are relaxing, the dogs are pretty much tired from the day, and no one is allowed down here in the basement after I resin, okay? So when I resin at night. As soon as I finish this and I make sure it's ready and there's not a hair in it or any, and I'm satisfied with it, I will leave the basement, I will close the door, and no one is allowed to step foot down here till the next day. I don't care what if my kid says we're out of Kleenex, I need to get a Kleenex box from downstairs, we're in the storage room. No, you're not allowed. You are not allowed down here if I have a wet resin painting. Not happening. So because of that, my pieces typically 99% of the time turn out to be pretty good. There's no hairs in it, there's no fluffs in it. There is the occasion where I may have missed a hair or one may have landed in there after I left. Who knows? I've seen people get a spider or a fruit fly or something. If that does happen and the next day you come and check your piece and it's dry and there's a blemish or a flaw or a hair or a bug or something in it, you do not have to sand the entire piece in order to put a second coat on, okay? You're gonna need a second coat on it. So let's say I had a dog hair right here. I would get some sandpaper. I would sand the bejeebies out of it, okay, until that hair disappears. It's gonna look scratched up. It's gonna look scuffed up. It's going to look horrible. But don't worry, it's not going to ruin your painting, okay? So just sand the spot that has the blemish or the hair or whatever it is, okay? Sand that one spot and put another top coat on top, okay? And hopefully after the second one, you don't have another problem again. Now, some people will do resin and then they'll get little dimples of where the resin didn't stick to the canvas, and a dimple or a divot or whatever you want to call it. There is sometimes that will happen. If you use silicone oil, that will happen a lot. okay? Which is why A, I never use silicone oil in anything I do. And B, if you do use silicone, you must clean your canvas prior to putting resin on it. And when I mean clean it, if you've got silicone oil in your paints, you need, I've heard people use Lysol wipes, cornstarch, soap. I don't even know because I don't do it. So I cannot comment on how to properly clean a canvas that has silicone in it. But you must, and I mean must, clean your canvas before applying resin if you have silicone oil in your paints. All right. So I think my 3 to 4 minutes is up. Yes, it is. All right. So this has been sitting here perfectly fine. It's actually even spread, you know. So now I'm going to finish this spot here and just do a blip here in the center. And whatever resin I have left, I actually made a little extra because I want to do those coasters. So I'm going to finish the stripe here, and then I'm just going to do this. That's it. I will leave some on reserve, which actually isn't even that much. It's right here. So there's not even that much. I may not even be able to do the coasters, but always leave a little on reserve in case you need a spot that needs fixing or you missed a spot. All right. I am going to put on my second glove. All right. I really hope I'm remembering all the information I need to tell you guys. I'm probably sure that when I'm done this, I'm going to be like, oh, I forgot to mention that. But if I did forget something, I will put it in the comments and in the description below. I'll pin a comment to the top. All right, heat gun. I blow it on, I put it on high. What I'm going to do is I'm going to warm up the resin all around, and as it's warming, it's also going to pop all the bubbles. Okay, warming up the resin will, well, I should plug the thing in first. Okay, let's plug it in. Okay, so warming it up will help me smooth it out easier. Okay, so give me a minute. Always move the gun, never the heat gun. Never leave it in the same spot for too long. You will burn the resin, okay? Constantly move the heat gun. Okay, warm it up, pop those bubbles. This resin has been sitting here probably about, I don't know, 7 to 10 minutes now. So I'm warming it up. Another thing you need are tweezers. I will tell you why in a minute. Okay, it is now warmed up. Now, I don't know if you could hear me, but another thing I forgot, you need tweezers. Go and buy a pair of tweezers from the dollar store. I've got like 3 or 4 of them. Tweezers, dollar store, buck 25, okay? You need tweezers. Why? Because you're gonna need it to pick out any hairs or fluffs or floofsters or anything you find in your resin after. Okay, what I do now that this is all warmed up, I will take my fingers and I will push. You remember how I did the bead across first? So I'm going to push some of the resin over the edges, okay? First thing I work on are the edges. So I shall take my fingers now, and I find this so satisfying because it feels so nice. So you notice here I'm holding the bottom so I don't move the canvas. I will push the resin over the sides, and I will use my fingers to make sure the sides are fully coated with resin. Another thing, make sure the table you are working on is super clean. If you did a previous pour on it, or there's dust on it, you know, paint chips or any paint flakes or sparkles or I don't know, anything, I'm telling you, it'll find its way in your resin. So make sure you have a clean table. Do I have a clean table? I don't, but I'm also experienced and I know the table is clean aside from dried paint. So I'm not going to put a new piece of plastic down. So as you can see, I'm just pushing the resin over the surface and then I'm using my fingers to rub it in, okay? Using my fingers to rub it, and I don't need to see. I don't need to see what I'm doing. I can't see what I'm doing. I can feel what I'm doing, okay? So I push the resin over and then I will go all the way across, and you can feel if you've missed a spot because your hand will stop because there's dry canvas. So that is all covered. I will now come to this side and do this side. Again, taking a little bit of the resin from this pool here on the side, and I will just push it over the edge, and then I just make sure the edge, I rub it in, okay? I don't just tap, 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 none of this flaky tap, tap, tap stuff, okay? Rub that in, all right? Rub that resin in there, all right? So let me see. This side, start from one end, go all the way across, and I'm good. I'm gonna go all the way around here, and I'm good. And now I shall do this bottom, and then my sides will be done. Do I do 2 coats of resin? I do not. The only time I will do a second coat is if there was a hair or a blemish or, you know, something or other. That is the only time I will add a second coat of resin. Why? Do I only do 1? Because I feel only 1 is necessary. Some people do 2 or 3 coats. I know my girl Tammy Anderson, she puts at least 2 to 3 coats on all her pieces, and there's nothing wrong with that, and to each their own, and she prefers it that way. I prefer 1 coat. I find if I add 2 to 3 coats, then the piece will cost more money because you're using more resin, and it also makes the piece a lot heavier. So when it comes time to ship, it's also heavier, which means the shipping price goes up. All right, so I've done my edges, and now what I do is I take from the outsides and I push in. All right, I push in and I make sure there's, you see, it's dry here, there's a dry spot here, this is dry here. You want to cover all that dryness, all these dry spots. I love using my hands because as you run your hand across it, if there is a dry spot, your hand will stop dead in its tracks, okay? This is why I like to use my hands. So now that I feel that it's fully covered, there are times where there's like a pool of resin more here than there is here. So when I'm done and I ensure that it's all fully covered, I will take my hand, I will start at the bottom, and I will scan my hand all the way across. I don't push hard, I just lightly skim over, because if there's a pool, you see that? I don't know if you can see that, but there's a pool right here. There's a lot of it here. So as you skim, it actually pushes the resin and evens it out. So if there's a pool in excess, it'll go right over the edge. I don't need it. This is why sometimes your resin will pool into the center of your piece because you have a lot of resin on it. It is not necessary. So I take my hand, I go all the way across. When I get to the top, I do a little corner checks, and that is it. That's it. That's all I do. So I have all this resin on my hand. I actually scrape it back into my cup. Okay, so I scrape it back into the cup. I will clean my hand off, my gloves off with a paper towel. All right, get all that resin off. Don't do it over the painting. Do it here on the side because the paper towel could have some fluff on it or hair or something, who knows. Don't do anything over your canvas, okay? You don't, stay away from it. So now that I've done my, across and took out any pooled resin, nice and smooth. I will now get my heat gun and I will start at the top and do the same thing and go all the way down. This will A, warm up the resin, B, pop all the bubbles, okay? Don't go too close, but don't go this high up either. It's not going to do anything. I'm about 2 inches off the canvas. Okay? Don't go closer than that, and don't go further than that. Don't stop in one spot. Keep the heat gun moving. Okay, I've done it all. I do not do the sides. It's not necessary. If you do the sides, there's a chance there might be a hair on your table or a fleck or a glitter or whatever, and it'll blow it right onto your canvas. So I never do the sides. Now, the next step for me here is, I have my studio lights. I have one on each side right now, really bright. I also have my other bright light in the back. If you don't have studio lights, that is fine. You can use the flash on your cell phone, the flash, if you have a flashlight, something, or even just use the glare from your ceiling lights, okay? You need to get eye level, okay? Super duper important. You need to look at the reflection from your lighting on your canvas. That is how you will see if there's a hair or a blemish or anything that may have landed into this while you were working on it and while you were heating it up, just like you saw right now. So what I do is I literally come down eye level like this, and I find the glare from my lights, and I will scan the entire piece, okay? And I will check it and triple check it and make sure, like right here, there's a little fluff. It could be a fiber from my shirt. So I will take my tweezers and I will pick it out. Remember to clean your tweezer after each pick, okay? Now this is a big canvas, so I literally have to go around the whole table. I'm gonna speed you up in this because it'll probably take me 5 minutes to do this. So let me just scan this all, I'll be right back. Okay, so I've gone over it, and when I was actually over here, I noticed there was a bare spot. I missed a spot, and there was a small little hole where I did not get any resin on it. So I just dabbed my finger in the resin that fell over the sides, and I put it there, and it is fine. It levels itself out. And if you want, you could always just get your torch or your heat gun and just quickly do that. That's it. And then it'll just warm it up and melt it into the rest of the resin, okay? So that's another reason why lights are super duper important. You can go and get yourself a ring light off Amazon. There's super duper cheap ones, or they could be 10 bucks, 20 bucks. If you're gonna be doing resin, I really do find these lights are very, very important and very useful. All right, so that is ready. I've gone through it, and there's actually, I think I picked only 2 little fluffs out of it. And that is it. So I'm finished. So when I'm done, what I do is I clean my tools. Do not leave, like I touched this, okay, for my gloves. So now this is sticky. My heat gun, the handle, super duper sticky. All right. So I also have this leftover resin, which I'm going to put in those coasters in a minute. I don't think you need to see that. So what I have, or what I do, is I get a clean piece of paper towel, okay? And I have a squeeze bottle here that has the rubbing alcohol in it. I am going to soak this, okay, away from the painting. So this is all wet now. So unplug your thing, unplug your heat gun. And what I do is I literally just, I don't want to do it over the thing. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm literally just, and don't burn yourself. This part of the heat gun is still hot, okay? Don't touch that. So I clean the handle. I push the buttons up and down, make sure the buttons are clean, okay? And then I clean the top, all right? Everyone always wonders how I keep everything so clean and why my bottles are always so clean. It's because I clean everything if I get it dirty, okay? So now my heat gun is clean, because if I don't clean it, then the buttons will stick, the resin will get hard, and you're not gonna be able to use the buttons anymore, okay? Clean your torch. If you use the torch, clean the torch, okay? Get all the resin off of it. If you use tweezers, clean the tweezers, okay? Get that paper towel in between the tweezer tips and clean your tweezers. If you leave resin on the tweezers, they will get bulky, gunky, it'll dry like that, and then you'll never be able to actually pick anything out with these tweezers again. So you must clean, and try not to clean around your canvas. I'm only doing it now because I'm trying to show you guys. Typically, I will go to the other side of my table and I will clean everything there, okay? Then I also clean, yes, my bottles, okay? So there might have been some resin that dripped down the side of the bottle. The cap might have a little resin on it because I had my gloves on, which were sticky, okay? I clean everything, okay? I know it's a pain, but better to have it clean so that the next time you use it, it's not sticky, it's not, stuck or hard or anything like that. Clean your products when you're done, especially if you're using resin. And that's it. I can clean my gloves, the same paper towel. I might soak it a little bit more. I clean my gloves and I reuse them. Okay, so that is it. I take off my gloves. They are clean. They are not sticky. The alcohol cleans them. That's it. I can use these again the next time I resin. So you don't have to throw out gloves every time you use them, unless, of course, you got a hole in it or something, right? And that's it. So I cleaned all my stuff. I've got my gloves off. Right now what I would do is I would do one final check over, and if I'm happy with it, my lights go off, my apron comes off, I head on upstairs, and that is it. No one's allowed back down here anymore. So I hope you found this video helpful. If I missed anything and I remember, I will put it in the comments section below, but I will pin it to the top so that when you go to the comments of the video, my comment will be pinned to the top. If I missed anything and you have a question, as I mentioned, put it in the comment section and I will respond to your comment, or just let me know what you thought about this video. Comments are very helpful on our videos. It actually really helps our videos when you comment on them. Everything you need to know, products that I use, all this stuff, the heat gun, all that stuff, it's all listed in my Amazon shop. The links to Amazon are in the description below the video. Krystal Resin discount, the link is in the description below the video, okay? Everything is in the description. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed the video. Actually, I forgot. Tomorrow morning, I will come back and record and show you guys how I take the tape off the back. So there's going to be one more part to this. I totally forgot. So I'm not going to say goodbye just yet. I'm going to say see you later. And I will be back in the morning to show you guys how I peel the tape off the back. So I'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye. Good morning, everybody. All right, so part 2 of my resin video today. So it is 9:45 and this is dry. I can touch it. Now, don't touch the top with your fingers. You do not want to get fingerprints on it. Your fingers and your hands have an oily residue on them. Do not touch the top of your canvas after you've resined it, okay? Just keep that in mind. And if you must, may I suggest you purchase some cotton gloves. They sell them on Amazon. I have a pair here somewhere. I don't know where. You know, I don't know where I put them after I unpacked everything. But don't ever touch the top, okay? So you can touch the sides, but try and avoid that if you can as well. So this is fully dry now, and it is perfect. Now, what I do is this is heavy. This is actually pretty heavy. Now, another reason why I don't do 2 coats. If I put a second coat on this, by choice, then it's going to be extremely heavy. So what I do is I will take the piece and go somewhere either in the sunlight, or in this case, I have, as you can see, my studio lights, and I will hold it up against the studio light and I will skim right across the top with my eyes and see if I find a hair, a blemish, a spot I missed. You see that reflection right down there in the bottom? So I would use that reflection to look at my piece and see if there's any blemishes or something is wrong with it. In my case right now, this is perfect. There is not a dog hair in it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's fully covered. It is perfect. So I lost a push pin because it's stuck to the table. So here's what we're going to do. All right. Again, without touching the canvas, do not touch the canvas. And if you could work on a clean surface, that would be ideal. So what I do is I take all my push pins out. Some of them might be stuck to the table. Some of them might be stuck to your actual canvas, but pull them off. Okay, we don't need those anymore. So you can see now here all the resin drips. You see that? All those resin drips. Now, I'm going to show you how to take them off. What you need is your heat gun, all right? What we're gonna do, I'm gonna try and do this and put it in camera view at the same time, which might be a little difficult without touching the canvas or anything. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your heat gun and you're gonna turn it on and you're just gonna heat up the bottom part of your canvas. Okay, you don't want to heat the side because there's no tape on there and there's no point in heating up that. You just want to heat up the bottom part and it'll heat it up and you will see that the paint will just peel right off. Do not, and I repeat, do not use a torch to warm this up and peel your resin drips off. Could you use a torch? Yes, you could. Should you use a torch? No, likely not. Why? Because you can burn your canvas. If you're not paying attention or you're not experienced and you use your torch and you accidentally burn the resin on the side here, it's going to show. It's going to burn it. It's going to turn it brown. It might even just burn a hole in it. It depends on how badly you burn it. But why use a torch and risk burning it when you can just use the heat gun? And it does the same exact job. So I'm going to heat up this portion here and show you guys how easy it is to peel off the resin. let's see here. I think I'm going to bring my camera closer for you guys, like so, okay? And I'm going to angle this way, okay? And I'll show you little bits at a time, all right? All right, let's go. All right, so you see I did just those little section there, and watch it peel right off, okay? Look at that, completely clean, super simple. Whatever you do, don't let this hit the other side. It will stick to your resin and you don't want that. So again, look how simple. See how simple and easy it just peels right off? Now, as I keep going, it's going to get harder and harder to pull because I did not heat up this part. So as you're pulling, if you find that it's not pulling easy, stop. Do not continue to pull it, okay? I know it's probably satisfying to want to pull it, but don't do it, because what could happen is you could end up peeling the resin over here, and it'll peel the side as well. You do not want that, okay? So do not continue to peel if it's getting harder and harder to peel it off, because that means it's not warm. So let's warm it up. All right, and now watch. Super simple, okay? Peels off like butter. All right, and there you go. So I didn't do this side, so I'm not going to continue. And I'm going to unstick it from my fingers and just, you know, make sure it doesn't touch. I'm going to continue the rest of this and speed you guys up. If I cannot get this whole thing in view, I apologize. It's very hard to hold this. It's actually getting super duper heavy. So I'm going to straighten this out and I'm going to keep going. So I'll be right back. Another thing I want to mention, when you're peeling, always peel inwards, in towards the canvas, the back of the canvas. Never peel outwards, because if you peel outwards, it might end up peeling some of the resin on the side if it's still attached, you know, and you didn't warm it up good enough or well enough. Never peel that way. Never peel towards the canvas. Peel downwards in here. That way, see, if it rips or anything like that, it's not going to peel the resin off the side of your canvas, okay? So peel inwards. All right, let's keep going. And there you have it, everybody. So there you go. The tape has been peeled off. The back of my canvas is super clean. You know, the paint didn't pretty much seep through at all, just maybe a little bit here in the corner. But that is how it is done, everybody. And there you go. Again, without touching any part of the top of the canvas. Do not touch any of it. Okay, you're gonna leave a fingerprint on it, and whatever you do, let's just say, for example, you accidentally touch it and now there's a fingerprint on it. Do not use paper towel to try and rub it off. It will scratch the resin. You know, you need to use something super soft. For example, I have this. It's a very fuzzy, soft microfiber cloth, okay? And you can gently buff out any fingerprints you may put in it or on it. So use something super duper soft, okay? Now, that is it. I'm going to show you, I'm going to take my phone off the tripod here and show you a few things. So let me, I think that's it. I think that is all that I needed to show you. and I'm gonna show this to you hanging up on the wall. So I'll be right back. All right, everyone. So I wanted to show you guys super quick. These are the coasters where I put in the extra resin in last night. So those are dry, but they're gonna need, I'm putting a final top coat of a color on top. But look at that, super cute. See, and this is what I mean by if you have extra resin, find something to put it in. All right, so here is my oil heater that I wanted to show you guys. I turn this thing on and it warms up this room really well. I got it from Canadian Tire. It was about $100 here in Canada. And it uses barely any electricity. There's no fan. It doesn't blow heat. It just emits heat from the coils here. And it is absolutely wonderful. There's temperature on it, timer on it, all kinds of stuff. And then this is my Dyson air purifier. It's not plugged in, obviously. So this is the Dyson air purifier I use. I got it off the Dyson Canada website. And I think that was it that I wanted to show you. Oh, and before I almost tripped. Before I forget, if anyone is interested in any silicone molds from Lolivefe, they have so many. Actually, here, I'll show you. See, they have all kinds of silicone molds. This one has a cute little bird. This is the beautiful lady silicone molds. So you can find these all on Lolivefe's website. So Lolivefe, and you can save 10% off your entire order. And I also get my squeeze bottles. Look at all my Lolivefe squeeze bottles, my Lolivefe silicone mats. You can see it's all over, covers my table. So yeah, Lolivefe, save 10% off using code Kanella10. These are the dried fruits. I found them at HomeSense by Fluke. Look at that. So they have all kinds of stuff. And can I tell you, they smell so good. Makes you want to eat them, but it says, do not ingest, not for consumption. So yeah, I got those from HomeSense. So those are going to be cute when they're done. All right. And let me show you over here the finished painting. Now, obviously, you're going to get a lot of glare, but that's it. Here you go. There it, oop, I just bumped into Lucas's train table. Sorry, Lucas. There we go. So there you have it. There it is in all its glory. So it's done. It's finished. You can hang it up on the wall right away. And just remember, for it to fully cure, it needs about 3 to 4 weeks, but doesn't stop you from hanging it on the wall. So there you have it. Look at that. I wish I could show you guys the shimmer without the reflection of the window in the background, but that's what happens. I wonder if I can put it on the floor in this teeny bit of sunlight. Hold on. All right, so I don't have a back deck yet where I could take this beauty outside and show you guys the shimmer in the outside sunlight, but you can see here how pretty it is with a top coat of resin and how it just shines in the light. The very little light I have. But you get the idea. So there you have it, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope it taught you a lot. I hope you learned. And as I mentioned, if I forgot anything and you have any questions, you can put your questions in the comments below and I will be sure to answer them. So that is it. It's a long video, I know, but there's a lot of information that I needed to say. So let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time, have a good day, have a good night, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.